Welcome to Daily Drive for Thursday, January 15th, 2026. I'm Kellen Walker in Las Vegas. Today on the show, Stellantis is staying together, at least for now. Honda bets on sales growth while the rest of the market shrinks. And Tesla will end one-time FSD purchases, subscriptions only. Plus, KPMG's Lenny LaRocca explains why suppliers are moving from wait-and-see mode on tariffs to making real U.S. production decisions.
Tariffs aren't going to go away. And so now you have people really taking a harder look at doing production in the U.S.
Let's run through all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry. Stellantis CEO Antonio Filosa says the automaker plans to stay together as one company following its business review. Speaking at the Detroit Auto Show, Filosa called the combination of global brands like Jeep and regional nameplates like Fiat and Dodge, quote, a good combination. The comments signal Stellantis will maintain its structure from the 2021 Fiat Chrysler PSA merger despite market share declines under former CEO Carlos Tavares. Filosa's turnaround focuses on the U.S. market with $13 billion in investments over 4 years. That includes launching new Jeep models and bringing back popular engines like the Ram Hemi V8. Stellantis will detail its strategy at a Capital Markets Day in the first half of this year. Despite a shrinking new car market, Honda is betting on growth. The automaker expects sales to climb 4% to about 1.5 million vehicles this year. That would buck Cox Automotive's forecast of a 2.4% industry decline. Honda's strategy? Boost production of lower-priced gas models to tackle affordability concerns, while still pushing hybrids and EVs. There's a catch, though. Acura's RDX is being discontinued this spring, with no replacement until 2028 due to supplier issues. And early inventory will be tight following those Nexperia chip shortages. Still, Honda's sales chief Lance Wolfer says the company has a lot of upside sales potential with the right product mix. And Tesla is ditching the one-time purchase option for its full self-driving system. After February 14th, FSD will only be available as a monthly subscription. CEO Elon Musk announced the change on X, but didn't explain why. Here's what we know. Tesla currently offers FSD for $8,000 up front, or $99 a month. The shift comes as Musk's compensation package depends partly on hitting 10 million active FSD subscriptions. Despite the name, FSD still requires driver supervision and doesn't make vehicles fully autonomous. Tesla hasn't disclosed current subscription numbers, but Musk admitted last year he was kind of glad not many people bought the package. Joining me now to talk more about this is automotive news reporter Lawrence Iliff, who covers Tesla for us at Automotive News. Lonnie, welcome back to Daily Drive.
It's great to be here.
Lonnie, the potential $1 trillion question. Why is Tesla making this switch now?
Okay, so I'm going to have to give you a little bit of history, but I'm going to be really quick. So when the full self-driving package, became popular, let's say 5 years ago, it was $15,000 and Elon Musk promised that it would turn your Tesla into a robotaxi. You could put that robotaxi on a ride-hailing network that Tesla would run, and your car would go out and make money for you, right? So you pay $15,000 up front, but now you have an appreciating asset, which he suggested could be worth $100,000, right? So people are like, wow, that's really cool. And so, not a lot of people paid $15,000, and over time it became $12,000 and then $8,000. But those people, believed that they were kind of making an investment in their car. And even though the FSD, full self-driving package, is tied to your vehicle, over the years, Tesla has opened up periods when you could transfer it to a new car, right, in order to keep those people buying cars and not just holding onto their cars forever. And so that was like the promise and the dream. Now he says, hey, guess what? It's going to be a subscription service for anybody for, I think right now it's $99 a month. So all those people who bought into that, who have that asset, what they think is an asset, are probably going to lose it, right? Because it's unlikely, or maybe for a while, but it's unlikely, going forward, that they're going to allow people to continue to transfer product that no longer exists, right? It will no longer exist on the website. It will be a subscription service. So those people are kind of bummed out. The other thing about a subscription service is the price can change anytime and you have no control over it, right? And so it may be $99 a month now, but it may be $200 a month when it actually becomes a robotaxi. Because right now, it's never become a robotaxi. So those people also are kind of upset that I paid $15,000 for something, and while it's been useful for assisted driving, it never really became a robotaxi. So I haven't really been able to use it as promised. So those people are kind of pissed, as you would imagine.
Oh, I would definitely feel some type of way. Are you kidding me? What does this move tell us about Tesla's broader autonomous vehicle strategy?
Okay, so Tesla is transitioning from, making most of its money from selling cars. It still makes, 80% or more money from selling cars, to becoming a robotics and AI company. And so if you want to make money on robotics and AI, the subscription model is kind of the way to create that recurring revenue. You can, affect that revenue stream. It's not like cars anymore. We've all seen in the tech world that there's subscriptions for Microsoft. There's subscriptions for Adobe. I think Apple just recently announced that they're going to have like a subscription service. So rather than buying a piece of software and owning it forever, right? Now it's going to be the subscription model. And so when Elon Musk got his new pay package last year, when it was approved by the board, one of the elements of many elements he has to hit to get to $1 trillion in stock options, right, is 10 million FSD subscriptions, right? So one way to get them is to force, it into a subscription service. So it's a shift in their entire business model. You're not making a car where you buy an option, and then you get to keep it in the car forever, and then it has some value when you resell it, and then you do it again. They want to turn it into a recurring source of revenue.
Interesting stuff. Lawrence Iliff, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
You can read Lawrence Iliff's reporting on Tesla, self-driving, and more details on all those stories at autonews.com. Coming up next, KPMG's Lenny LaRocca discusses why suppliers are finally making U.S. production investments despite tariff uncertainty, and why he says consolidation needs to happen in the supply chain. That's next on Daily Drive.
If you're an automotive supplier and you know your team is building the next big thing, prove it on the industry's biggest innovation stage. Automotive News is now accepting applications for the 2026 PACE program. PACE Awards recognize traditional and non-traditional suppliers worldwide for new product, process, and business model innovation, and entries must be innovations already commercialized through a sale to an automaker. Still pre-commercial but past the pilot stage? PACE Pilot recognizes post-pilot, pre-commercial innovations across automotive and future mobility, products, software, IT systems, and processes with the potential to revolutionize an automaker's business. All submissions are reviewed by an independent panel of judges, and MEMA is the exclusive lead sponsor. Ready to be recognized? Apply by February 9th at autonews.com.
Welcome back to Daily Drive. I'm Kellen Walker. KPMG's Lenny LaRocca leads the firm's automotive practice in the U.S. and the Americas. At CES last week, LaRocca discussed a major shift happening in the supply chain as companies move from wait-and-see mode on tariffs to finally making production decisions in the United States. He spoke with Automotive News reporter John Irwin on the CES show floor.
Lenny LaRocca, welcome back to Daily Drive.
Great, thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Obviously, CES, first day after the show opened. It's always busy. How's your day been? And what were some key takeaways that you've gotten from the show so far?
No, absolutely. It's busy. I mean, there's a lot going on. It's great to see so many different, industries here in the West Hall for mobility. I mean, I love seeing the, construction, agriculture. Obviously, you got mobility, OEMs, suppliers, kind of all in one place right now, talking about all the cool technology that they're coming out with. So it's a great buzz and always great to be here.
Yeah. It seems this year, artificial intelligence really seems to be a big, buzzword. That's been the case for a while now, but especially here at CES, this edition of it. And maybe, that's taking over a little bit for maybe electric vehicle hype from the past, previous CESs. What do you make of that? Are companies like really going, all in on AI right now? And, what's real and what's hype, I guess, in the industry as we kind of sort through all these announcements.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago when it was, EV was the big push, right? So we were talking about electric vehicles and batteries and charging. Even last year was still a big charging and EVs was still a big topic. And now you've really seen a shift to autonomous vehicle, autonomous driving, and AI as a big kind of focus area. And when you really, take a step back, there's a lot of hype, but there's still a lot of, I think, work that people are doing to really figure out how they use AI. What do they use AI for? Clearly, autonomous driving, there's a very big use case for using AI. But when you talk about the average, automotive supplier, like what are they really going to use AI for? And so the key focus on the supply side, or in general, the key focus with AI is going to be around, ROI. What's the return on investment that you're making for that AI, and can you really see the investment pay off?
I heard a couple announcements. Bosch, for instance, partnering, signing an MOU with Microsoft on AI, and I've heard from some suppliers who, we're talking about how they're going to be integrating AI into their manufacturing and that sort of thing to help, those processes become more efficient. Will that sort of thing lead to the sort of ROI that we're talking about here, or what might we expect from that?
Yeah, I mean, there's using AI to make your product more innovative, right? Grow the top line, right? Get more sales by utilizing AI in your product, right? But there's also AI utilized in, manufacturing and supply chain and performance improvement. And I think that the easier one for people to get their heads around is, how can I use AI to get my manufacturing more efficient, where I can, get more throughput, get better quality, right? And those are the areas we're seeing use cases with the ROIs that people are then implementing.
Obviously, CES this year is, taking place, after 2025 that had, lots of ups and downs for the industry, everything from, tariffs and trade, and the industry kind of navigating those changes through to, companies dialing back a little bit on electrification. A lot of changes. Same time, I guess the industry kind of demonstrated a little bit of resilience at the same time in the face of all of that. But I guess looking at where the industry stands right now, what might we expect in 2026? Were there any lessons learned in 2025 that they can apply, this year? What are we looking at moving forward?
Well, the 2025 was definitely volatile, right? A lot of ups and downs, a lot of volatility. You had the tariffs, different tariffs coming in and out, where that's going to land. We thought it was going to have a much bigger impact to the OEMs and suppliers. And it, like you said, they were more resilient, getting through those tariff changes, getting through the reimbursement processes, right? So that process just kind of chugged along. And then you got hit sort of more with sort of the realization that EV volumes were not going to be where EV volumes were expected. And so you had that kind of different, write-offs and impairments taken for the EVs. So the industry's, definitely been resilient through the last year. And so as we get into 2026, I think some of the lessons learned is, one, I think consolidation needs to happen. There were some deals in auto last year, but not as much as I think people were hoping. There was just too much volatility why those deals didn't happen. So I think hopefully things will kind of calm down a little bit. People get comfortable doing more deals. Consolidation needs to happen for the supply chain, absolutely. And, and they're going to see more joint ventures like we talked about before, where you see a lot of that here today, right? A lot of the JVs, partnerships, whether it's through technology or robo-taxis. And so I think that's going to continue as we get into 2026.
Yeah, and I want to circle back on partnerships in a second, but as it relates to consolidation, are there, aspects of the supply chain, types of companies or what have you that I guess are most ripe for consolidation at the moment, or is it kind of widespread? I mean, what are we looking at this year, you think?
Well, I think you're looking at, one, there's a lot of distress in the auto supply chain,
Yes.
right? So it's been resilient, but there's distress. There's stress sitting out there in the system, and so a lot of the deals that we saw in 2025 were more, I would say, distress kind of in nature, and a lot of those are cross border with Europe. So you have issues in Europe that's driving need for consolidation, plus activity here in the U.S. around producing here in the U.S. So I think those types of deals, are where you're going to start to see more of.
Yeah. And on partnerships, like you said, there's all sorts of announcements of partnerships here just today at CES. And we see companies, touting new partnerships with tech companies or with startups or what have you. I've had a couple executives at suppliers, a couple major suppliers, both say to me that this is something that their customers are basically expecting at this point. If you don't know how to, do X, Y, and Z for us, and you need to go reach out to someone, partner with them, let's do it. Not just have to feel like you have to develop everything in-house.
Yeah.
I feel like for some suppliers, it maybe is a pretty big shift. For others, maybe not as much. And what can we expect from, I guess, on the partnerships moving forward, especially as it relates to tech and AI and that sort of thing?
Yeah, if you look back over time, JVs, partnerships, complex JV structures was something the auto industry didn't really do, right? If you go back 10 years. And then over time, people got more comfortable, how do I do JVs? Find partnerships where we can do win-win situations, whether it's through, technology or, through supply chain. And so those types of, partnerships have become more norm, right? So you have a significant number of partnerships, JVs within the robotaxi space, right? So you've got an OEM, you've got the software provider, and then you've got the rideshare. So that's one area that you see a lot, and you're going to continue to see more. I think in the supply chain, like you said, getting more comfortable partnering, not feeling like you have to do it alone, I think is just better for the industry. Because then you're not spending as much capital if everybody's always trying to do their own thing, right? Well, now it's like, okay, well, so, these guys do this really well, I do that really well, we partner together, we solve the industry issues, right?
Yeah. And capital, that's, like as you mentioned, there's a lot of financial distress in the supply chain right now, and that's, capital can be hard to come by. So, a lot of times you feel it seems like some companies are, in some ways being pushed into this a little bit, just given their financial situations and the speed with which a lot of these technologies are developing. But, it'll be interesting to see how that develops over the course of the year.
Yeah.
Another big topic for 2026, I know we have trade talks, U.S., Canada, and Mexico. I guess, what are you looking for, as those talks play out? Like, what are industry players hoping for out of those talks? I know there's been discussion that the U.S. might pull out of the USMCA. I know automakers have been, pretty vocally against that idea, but, what might we look for?
Yeah, and of course, every executive we talk to here has asked us a very similar question. I think that if you take a step back, tariffs aren't going to go away. And so there will be tariffs. People have to deal with it. It may get harder to deal with tariffs or trade between Mexico because of the tariffs that Mexico is implementing. And so now you have this, people really taking a harder look at doing production in the U.S. And so we're actually working with a number of companies, helping them assess, doing those analysis, right? Like, is it better to, just build here in the U.S. and utilize automation? Obviously, there's a big capital expense there. But over time, if the parity between Mexico and U.S. costs starts to come closer together, does it make more sense to do it in the U.S.? So I think what you're going to start to see is that more people looking at how they're bringing production into the U.S. And it's really going to start in the supply chain, because the supply chain is a little, easier, maybe not as expensive than building a brand new assembly plant, right? And then you've already seen a little bit, but you'll probably see more where you don't have to do that alone either. Right? So like if you wanted to step in and form some JV around a certain process or a certain component, right, that then keeps you from having to invest all that money, or maybe there's capacity out there that you can utilize, right?
Yeah.
So I think you'll start to see that in a different form.
That's Daily Drive for today. I'm Kellen Walker. Thanks to Automotive News executive producer Jake Neer, as well as our own Lawrence Iliff and Urvash Kakaria for their reporting for today's podcast. You can get the latest news on Stellantis' turnaround strategy, Tesla's FSD shift, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com. Come back tomorrow for a conversation with Chris Press from Poly about how integrating consumer auto insurance into the purchase or lease of a vehicle is gaining popularity at dealerships.
You have a lot of customers that are youthful drivers that don't have insurance or don't know where to get insurance. And we're also seeing a lot of, new to the U.S. buyers that have foreign driver's license and other challenges that really need someone that has insurance experience to be able to assist them.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. And if you enjoyed the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.